From secretly cross-dressing since childhood, to living as a 6-year-old girl at age 61, Paul Andrew Wolscht didn't just leave his wife and kids, he abandoned reality, and what followed was a spiral of emotional blackmail, suicide threats, and a disturbing performance that blurred the line between identity and delusion. For years now, Stefonknee's story has stirred up the internet and the intense backlash that came with it, where, beyond what he had expected, ridiculous, selfish, disgusting predator, these were the very words of definition that echoed across. Paul Andrew Wolscht was born in Ontario farmland in 1963, the third child of a soybean grower and a church pianist mother. On weekends he fixed engines and blasted rock music from an old pickup. In town he was the trusted farmhand who could solve anything with tools and faith. Privately, he held onto a memory he named the dress moment, sneaking into his sister's Sunday dress at age 6 and feeling unexpectedly serene. He never discussed it, concealing it beneath grease and gearboxes.
I'm in Canada. I'm from Toronto, Canada. And I'm 61 years old. And a year and a half ago, I decided to write my memoir because my sister had passed away at age 61. And I thought, okay, time is running out. It's time to share my life experience as a trans woman.
With time, the secret grew stronger. By his 20s, Paul had his mechanic certification and ran a small garage next to his family's barn. During a church event, he met Maria, a gentle, soft-voiced education major who laughed at his jokes. They married 16 months later and moved to a humble bungalow near Toronto. Money was tight, but they remained upbeat. Maria began teaching beginner French, while Paul handled tractors and emergency calls. As their relationship grew stronger, they welcomed 7 children over the years, capturing holiday moments that would later seem like a completely different world. But as the baby clothes stacked up, so did Paul's secret wardrobe, a wardrobe that was filled with dark secrets that if revealed would destroy his entire family. And they are revealed only at night, after the kids slept. Paul would sneak to the basement, wear a pastel clothing, and rehearse a softer voice. He told himself it was innocent stress relief, and absolutely no one would or should ever find out. One day, while searching for her stuff in the basement, Maria came across a box she never noticed. When she questioned him, Paul confessed, but said it was just a temporary thing. She wanted to believe him. She hoped the clothes would just sit and collect dust. But instead, his secret doubled in size. Paul started lurking in online trans forums and stayed up watching transition videos. His late-night routines grew longer, and the marriage started to suffer. In 2007, the dam burst. Paul called the whole family into the living room. No counselor, no warm-up, just a declaration. He was now transgender and would go by Stefonknee. The older children were shocked. The younger ones played nearby, sensing something was wrong. Maria broke down, asking for time. Paul refused. He said the change was final. He even played YouTube transition clips and told the family to accept it.
And with Franny, she's my baby. And this is Lily here, is Lily. And then this is Little Bear. And this is Ella, is right there. And that's Strawberry. You guys know Strawberry because you saw him before already. Makoto, do you want to come over and say hi?
Later, each child wrote their own letter, in which some were leaked online years after. Peter, another child, shared very strong feelings about not having his dad in his life, and word for word he wrote, "Dear Dad, I feel it is very embarrassing that you walk around like that, but if you really want it, it will be okay with me. Love, Peter." Yet Paul kept the letters but didn't change course. Maria begged endlessly for therapy and a structured home transition, but Paul pushed back instantly while he filed for a name change request and left to stay in a friend's basement after Maria's breakdown. The divorce happened soon after, and it was messy. Court documents detailed disputes over stolen tools, alleged threats made in the family's driveway, and a restraining order filed by 2 daughters in shock and fear that Paul became unstable and, worst of all, dangerous. The judge, alarmed by these concerns, denied him unsupervised visitation, effectively cutting him off from the children he once cared for. Now, Paul, fully enraged at this, accused Maria of brainwashing the kids, but the court ruling remained unchanged. And when others around the area had just heard of it or supported the trans movement, one general reaction echoed. It is not the transgender part that I think is ridiculous. That is fine. What I think is ridiculous is the part that he legitimately thinks that he's 6 and that people are encouraging it.
Being transgendered was a sickness, it was a disorder, and it was something to be embarrassed about.
Paul officially changed his name on Facebook, rebranding himself as Stefonknee, a spelling he claimed captured the innocence and energy of the little girl he now identified as. Not long after, an evangelical outreach group invited Stefonknee to join their Pride Parade float, hoping to showcase inclusivity. But what ended up on camera was something else entirely. A fully grown man, dressed as a 6-year-old girl, skipping down the street and waving a rainbow wand. This is not only disgusting, but it's an incredibly selfish act. Selfish to this wife, kids, and whatever family he left to pursue this fetish. This man needs serious help. I'm a grown woman, and I wouldn't feel comfortable in the same building as him. The 30-second clip was uploaded online and exploded within hours. Across forums, comment sections, and talk shows, viewers couldn't look away. To some, it was a heartwarming symbol of living authentically. To others, it was a jaw-dropping sign of cultural decay. Debates erupted with more fury than understanding. Critics accused Stefonknee of pushing boundaries too far. Supporters framed the backlash as bigotry in disguise. Meanwhile, Stefonknee didn't retreat. She leaned all the way in.
I was trans before we married. I was a trans parent for 23 years. It floored me, it scared me, because I didn't know how to not be trans.
Riding the momentum, she launched a YouTube channel titled Stefonknee's Playroom, but later changed to Stefonknee Wolscht. The videos featured fast food toy reviews, bedtime stories, and a plush bear named Strawberry strapped into a booster seat. Every clip ended with donation links and a promise: help keep the playroom open. Viewers tuned in, some out of support, others out of disbelief. The views spiked, and so did the whispers. Online sites began piecing together her past. They discovered court files that included restraining orders from 2 daughters. Screenshots spread to Reddit, fueling think pieces on parental rights versus identity expression. Supporters rallied behind her with hashtags. Detractors dissected every frame. From a toy-filled room covered in pastel, Stefonknee clapped back. She dismissed critics as haters and began selling lace wristbands branded Ally merch, using PayPal to funnel donations. The move only fanned the flames. In 2014, a retired couple near Peterborough invited Stefonknee to live with them. Online, she began calling them Mommy and Daddy, and together they filmed the picnic vlogs on backyard swing sets. Mommy and Daddy were only slightly older than their daughter, but they embraced the roleplay completely.
I was a little kid. I came here as a little boy. Today I'm coming back as a little girl. Take a look at these beautiful trees here. This is nature at its best, and listen to how quiet it is. Thanks for watching.
While strangers flooded the comments with divided reactions, Stefonknee's biological family slipped further away. Holidays passed in silence. Calls stopped. Messages were blocked. The eldest daughter's wedding invite never arrived. On the morning of the ceremony, Stefonknee issued emotional ultimatums, saying she wouldn't cope if she wasn't allowed to attend. The bride blocked her father's number. That was the final break. In response, Stefonknee published a lengthy Facebook post accusing her children of bigotry, redecorating the family's living room into a permanent play zone, taping cartoon decals over old family photos. The stream horrified some and fascinated others. During a Toronto Pride panel, a podcaster asked if Stefonknee's ex-wife had ever been allowed to share her side. Stefonknee insisted Maria knew everything and had even supported her, but leaked emails painted another picture, one of emotional manipulation and boundaries ignored. Stefonknee later joined a local trans rights coalition, hoping to become a voice for the community. But her activism quickly turned personal. She dominated meetings with monologues about her life, derailing conversations about housing and healthcare for other trans people. Leaders eventually asked her to step back. She lashed out on social media, accusing them of reverse transphobia. The backlash only fed her follower count. Then came another twist. In 2016, her father died of a stroke. Instead of mourning quietly, Stefonknee posted a bizarre tribute claiming her transphobic dad could now wear pink in heaven. Relatives were furious, but online engagement skyrocketed.
During the time that I was isolated from my family, I had lost my father. My mother had passed prior to me being homeless, but my dad passed away when I was homeless, and I wasn't made aware that he was had passed on, and I wasn't invited to his funeral. But the weird thing that happened was he visited me after he died.
She opened a GoFundMe for travel to the funeral, but skipped the service altogether. The cycle repeated: outrage, defense, donations.
You've noticed, but I've got a website now, Stefonknee.com, Stefonknee.com or .ca, whichever you prefer. And I'm hoping to create a world that everyone has fun in.
Inside, Stefonknee livestreamed the signing, wore a unicorn headband, and thanked the haters for boosting the algorithm. Sales briefly spiked, then flatlined. Controversy, it turned out, still paid better than publishing. On her website, new donation tiers appeared. $5 unlocked a private newsletter. $20 got a video chat. $50 bought a bedtime story read by Stefonknee herself. Critics questioned why a grown adult identifying as a 6-year-old was offering the late-night calls to paying strangers. She called it kink-shaming. PayPal reviewed her account but never published findings. She quietly switched processors and kept going. Forums dug deeper. One thread alleged that her adoptive daddy once ran an adult baby fetish site. Others questioned attempt stories she tweeted. No confirmation came, but rumors moved faster than truth. Still, she kept uploading pastel selfies and plugging her crowdfunding links. Supporters saw bravery, critics saw a broken family, and the internet, as always, devoured the mess. Her children never responded publicly. Friends say the silence is intentional as privacy became their only shield. By late 2016, Stefonknee understood the game. YouTube ads rolled in, and she milked them, stuffing every Tea Party vlog with sponsors and bragging that the ad revenue bought her shiny new Mary Jane shoes.
Hello. Today's a pajama day, and I just want you to see something my friend Melissa got me. She was looking for a dollar store Katie, but they didn't have them anymore, but she got me a dollar store Jessie to play with Mel C.
She launched a Patreon promising secret bedtime stories for paying fans, and when underage users showed up in the comments, Patreon suspended her. But she instantly accused them of discrimination and moved her content behind a private paywall. From the street, the Peterborough bungalow looked normal, but neighbors whispered about the always shut curtains and the creaky swing set that moved after midnight. Structure included weekly playdates, where Serena's real 7-year-old granddaughter, which was cast as the big sister to 50-something-year-old Stefonknee. Juice boxes, chalk art, the whole scene. Even friendly blogs admitted it looked strange from the sidewalk.
Okay, now you're tractor driving. Brum, brum, brum.
Can you try and not get it too much that way? Or
Yeah.
hit the pole?
Yeah, you dirt.
In early 2017, Toronto Pride added Stefonknee to its trans advisory team. In just 3 meetings, Stefonknee managed to derail every agenda with emotional monologues, rambling about being uninvited to her daughter's wedding and lamenting missing cartoon socks back home. 2 black trans women stormed out and later tweeted that vital housing discussions for elderly trans people had been sidelined so Stefonknee could rant about knee highs. Leaked internal emails revealed staff concerns that her narcissistic rants were scaring off volunteers. Instead of reflection, she filmed a teary-eyed video from the back of Daddy's truck, accusing Pride Toronto of reverse exclusion and vowing to launch her own parade if she had to. That video raked in 40,000 views overnight, igniting another wildfire of outrage and support. By fall, her Facebook page was a non-stop circus. She posted obsessively, 4 or more times a day, each more manic than the last. On Father's Day, she fired off a threat message aimed at her own kids, labeling them haters. A month later, she mocked her deceased father for being cis on her birthday. Fetish fan pages filled her comments with emojis while the rest of her followers snapped back in fury. Local blogger Joe Clark named her Worst Transgender of the Month and called out her manipulation tactics. Stefonknee hit back with another video, branding Clark a bully and challenging him to debate live. In December, things spiraled. She phoned a journalist claiming she was about to jump from a Toronto parking garage. Police issued a missing person alert for a 6'4", 270-pound blonde woman in crisis. Social media went into meltdown until officers found her 2 blocks away sipping hot chocolate at an all-night deli. Instead of gratitude, she taunted TERFS online and invited them to meet her in Allen Gardens for a fistfight that night. She plugged the confrontation on a podcast known for salacious stories and shared a swingers club confession that made even seasoned Redditors recoil. TikTok exploded with stitched reactions under titles like, "Did she really say that?"
And that's what led to the depression and the anxiety. Is it's almost like the bottom had fallen out, and I was white middle class, and I didn't understand what homelessness was. I didn't understand what mental health was.
He is one of the most ugly 6-year-old that's walking the planet. Meanwhile, her ex-wife Maria took her back to court over unpaid child support. Court documents revealed Stefonknee owed over $60,000 in back payments. Her defense? Maria had stolen her mechanic tools. But pawnshop receipts proved Stefonknee had sold them herself, and the claim was thrown out instantly. She fled to Facebook, accusing Maria of having a secret girlfriend who turned the children against her. Few believed it. Her follower count dipped for the first time since she went viral. Mainstream outlets moved on, but forums like Kiwi Farms, 4chan, and Reddit Stefonknee sightings kept the drama alive. Online investigators began matching her video uploads with Instagram geotags. They uncovered a 36-hour road trip Daddy had taken to attend an age play convention in Michigan, a second mortgage taken out on the Peterborough house, and blamed it on the explosion of toys in her playroom. Nothing was proven, but that didn't stop TikTok from pumping out slick videos titled "The Truth About the Trans-Age Dad." With money running low, Stefonknee dropped a self-published 400-page memoir on Amazon in 2024, holding on by a thread.
Hi, my name is Stefonknee Wolscht. I'm a trans woman trying to adapt to life in these turbulent times. I've just finished my memoir, Holding On by a Thread. It's a book that tells of the challenges in our modern world for transgender people like me.
A story of a young boy knowing deep inside he should have always been born a girl. Come with me for an unbelievable ride as I travel from my home to homelessness.
It portrayed Maria as a manipulator who only offered love when Paul acted like a man, and claimed Maria weaponized court orders when Stefonknee embraced her full identity. She also alleged spending 9 days in solitary confinement just for telling prison guards she was a girl, but Ontario court logs showed no record of any jail time under any of her names. Goodreads reviewers tore the book to shreds, calling it delusional fiction packaged as memoir. Still, the launch party at Glad Day Bookshop sold out, not to supporters, but to TikTokers filming the event for viral content. When hecklers shouted about restraining orders and child support, Stefonknee grinned and reminded the crowd, "Views pay rent." Today, her once popular YouTube channel floats below 1,000 subscribers. TikTok snippets still earn curiosity clicks, because seeing a full-grown adult in fairy wings mid-scroll is hard to ignore. But her output slowed after Daddy suffered a stroke last winter. Mommy launched a GoFundMe, blaming snack inflation since little girls love treats, but donations never crossed 12% of the goal. Reddit says the fatigue finally caught up. Conservative outlets have moved on to newer outrage bait. The algorithm rarely surfaces her content now, unless a creator dredges it up for nostalgia clicks. Her children have stayed publicly silent. Insiders say the eldest son now manages a warehouse in Mississauga and ignores all interview requests. One daughter briefly liked a tweet comparing age play fans to method actors who never break character, then deleted her entire account. The restraining order expired when the youngest turned 18, but no one's reached out since. Conspiracy threads still fester in the underbelly of the internet. One theory claims that Daddy bought the Peterborough bungalow, using hush money from an elite society with ties to lawmakers. Another insists Stefonknee's entire persona is a false flag operation, engineered by anti-trans lobbyists to scare parents out of supporting transition care for kids. There's no evidence, yet these stories persist because controversy sticks. Her saga became a funhouse mirror for every culture war anxiety. Even tiny YouTube channels can still rake in decent views by recycling her clips. Platforms may suppress her uploads, but the internet never forgets. Every few months the story resurfaces, finding a fresh audience like it's brand new. Stefonknee keeps uploading pastel-filtered selfies and thanks her haters for the algorithm spikes, proof that controversy can keep even the strangest spectacles spinning forever. When Canada entered lockdown in March of 2020, Stefonknee's playground vlogs vanished overnight. Her channels went dark for 30 days. Some fans wondered if the pandemic had finally forced the little girl to pack away her crayons. Then came a blurry TikTok, filmed in Daddy's cluttered garage, wedged between snowblowers and rusted rakes. In it, Stefonknee spun clumsily in a faded tutu draped over muddy work boots, announcing she'd built a secret clubhouse bathroom since big box stores were closed, and gender-neutral toilets were basically illegal in Ontario. But it wasn't the dance that got attention. It was the 5-gallon paint bucket in the corner. Within hours, the internet dubbed it the Bucket Bathroom Confession. Right-wing pundits seized on the moment, looping it with captions like, "From safe spaces to toilet buckets. This is woke culture." Stefonknee doubled down, claiming a restaurant once banned her from the women's room, so she used a janitor's pail to avoid triggering anyone. She never gave a date, place, or witness, yet tabloids like Daily Mail ran the story. One furious mom even swore off letting her kids play unsupervised at food court play zones. The clip's viral traction pushed Stefonknee's TikTok follower count past 3,000, modest by mainstream standards, but huge inside age regression circles.
Restaurant's good. I just need to use the bathroom. And, women's. Oh, good. I really just gotta go pee.
To celebrate, she hosted a potty training party livestream. Balloons floated behind an oil drum. Strawberry the teddy wore glitter diapers. Stefonknee thanked all the aunties and uncles who boosted her visibility, but not everyone clapped. Former allies quietly muted her name on Twitter, saying she'd turned into a cartoon mascot that hurt actual trans causes.
Oh, Strawberry, I love you. I'm so glad you waited here for me. I missed you. You want some French fries? You ate already? Okay.
With Daddy's income collapsing under lockdown, Stefonknee dusted off her old snow removal gig that winter. GoPro footage showed her clearing driveways at sunrise, tutu jammed under grease-stained Carhartt overalls. She dubbed the series Princess Elsa Clears the Kingdom. Local Facebook moms shared the video, not to hire her, but to comment on the pink invoice demanding cash tips, or a sad little girl will cry. That post outperformed all her own advertising. Finances spiraled. Mortgage logs leaked to a dad's rights forum revealed Mommy and Daddy were 6 months behind on payments. They launched a GoFundMe titled Save Our Family Home, blaming gas prices and job losses. They raised $800 before interest vanished. Desperate, Stefonknee pivoted to digital products, personalized lullaby voice notes for $20, bedtime Zoom chats for $100. Payments ran through PayPal until spring 2021, when her account was frozen for age verification issues. She called it transphobia and moved everything to Cash App. That same spring, Ontario's Education Ministry floated a plan to install single-stall, gender-neutral restrooms in schools. Conservative radio hosts pounced, airing Stefonknee's bucket clip as a scare tactic. "You want this in your kid's bathroom?" One host barked as ominous music swelled. She fired back on Facebook, daring lawmakers to let her testify. They ignored her, but Queerty ran a sidebar noting how shock headlines drowned out real policy. Then a Toronto talk show aired a panel titled Trans-Age Identity Daddy Issues and the Limits of Self-Definition. A developmental psychologist explained age regression as a short-term coping method, emphasizing it was never meant to replace adult responsibility with toddler roleplay 24/7. Then came Stefonknee, live via Zoom, pacifier necklace swinging, cheeks smeared with rainbow glitter.
Why did you decide to go so public with your story?
I paid a pretty heavy price for transitioning, and so at a certain point, I thought, I've already lost everything and everything's happened. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to show other people that it's okay to be feminine for a guy. And
she admitted she'd never heard of the word paraphilia, but bragged about leading weekly coloring sessions for middle-aged littles. The psychologist raised an eyebrow and called it closer to kink than counseling. Stefonknee rage quit the call mid-sentence, later blasting the show as hate speech. Skeptical YouTubers clipped the meltdown and overlaid it with studies showing the positive outcomes of medically supported trans youth, arguing Stefonknee's lifestyle did the opposite. By autumn 2021, Pride Toronto planned a scaled-down march. Organizers quietly excluded her from the lineup, hoping to dodge headline chaos. Still, she showed up, toddling beside the parade floats with a pastel kite and glitter sneakers. Volunteers asked her to stay 4 meters back for insurance. She dropped on the curb, went live, and sobbed about being erased. Twitter erupted. Old committee emails resurfaced, describing her as a meeting hijacker. One organizer tweeted bluntly, "Performance art is her right, but we're done letting her suck all the oxygen out of the room." The post racked up 20,000 likes in under 2 hours. December 2021 marked a milestone. Stefonknee's youngest child turned 18, ending the legal protection Maria had fought to secure. The internet buzzed with predictions of a reunion. Instead, Stefonknee dropped a 60-minute monologue titled, "Why I Will Never Go Back." She claimed her kids were poisoned by hate, and any visit would re-traumatize her.
stuff we did as brothers on the farm that were unique to us, and it was our thing, and which was really cool. My mother did teach me a little bit of needlework. At one point we did some rug hooking and little crafty stuff, so that was nice. But for the most part, it was alpha male stuff.
But moments later, she asked followers to tag her children on Instagram so they could see the happy little girl I became. Critics called it emotional blackmail, and the comment section exploded. Behind the scenes, Maria was grieving the death of her mother. The funeral notice made no mention of Stefonknee as family. A church usher later confirmed Maria had asked that anyone wearing a tutu oversize be turned away, just in case. Stefonknee never showed up. Instead, she filmed a backyard vlog the next morning, dismissing traditional funerals as celebrations of cis-normativity. Even longtime supporters winced. By 2022, reaction channels had officially labeled her an internet villain. A 20-year-old YouTuber from Texas racked up 2 million views, dissecting the bucket video frame by frame, calling it clout bait. Another streamer grouped her with infamous trolls Jessica Yanov and Chris Chan, branding them the trifecta of trans trolling. But each takedown only fed the machine. Every outraged view sent ad revenue back to Stefonknee. She reminded fans, "Every disgusted click feeds my princess fund," and analytics backed her up. Then came 2023. Canada passed Bill C-11, known as the Online Streaming Act. The law prioritized Canadian content, and Stefonknee said it buried her videos beneath kids' cartoons and CBC documentaries. She tried spoofing her location as Buffalo, but YouTube's algorithm caught on. Furious, she uploaded a tearful rant accusing Canada of erasing queer voices. Critics pointed out the bill didn't mention sexual content, but nuance didn't trend, so the video stayed up. By summer, deeper cracks surfaced. Daddy's stroke left him barely mobile. Mommy picked up a retail job. Paramedics allegedly responded twice to calls involving a large adult in children's clothing. From the ER waiting room, Stefonknee posted TikToks, lamenting the lack of glitter crayons in the gift shop. When those flopped, she tried baby food taste tests served with nursery rhymes. Fans begged for auto repair content instead. She blocked them, then sold the plow truck for scrap. A potential comeback nearly materialized when producers of the Transgender Project, who'd profiled her in 2015, proposed a follow-up. Leaked emails showed Stefonknee demanded final edit rights, a rainbow minivan, and toy store gift cards. The studio passed. She blasted them as elitist film bros, then posted her own behind-the-scenes vlog, shot with a phone taped to a doll stroller. The wheels squeaked louder than the audio, and views stalled in the hundreds. Meanwhile, conspiracy forums gave her fresh momentum. Telegram channels with QAnon leanings named her part of an adult baby cabal run by global elites. Another said her infamous bucket once held ritual lubricant. Facts didn't matter. Her name spiked on Google Trends, so she cashed in with new merch. Enamel pins shaped like pink buckets stamped "Cry Harder" haters. Lockdowns faded, but the bills didn't. Serena's GoFundMe for utilities stalled at 12%. Adrian needed therapy. Foreclosure loomed. Stefonknee kept hustling. $25 bought birthday shoutouts, $75 for bedtime Zooms, $200 for a weekly Princess Mentor pep talk. A few sold, most didn't. The larger trans movement distanced itself. Advocacy groups avoided reposting her. Right-wing pundits had moved on. Still, she lingered in the algorithm's basement. Reaction creators dug up the bucket clip. Skeptics replayed the Zoom meltdown. Small fan pages defended her right to live her truth. As 2024 turned into 2025, fairy tale skits faded. Donation pleas rose. Occasionally, TikTok boosted an old driveway clearing clip. Comments poured in, some amused, some furious. Stefonknee always responded in pastel filters, thanking viewers for keeping her tiara polished. The headlines cooled, but the spectacle trudged on. Late 2024, she resurfaced with a shaky 1 a.m. Instagram video. Filmed from her rusted pickup, she claimed a hater tried running her off the Don Valley Parkway after a snow removal shift. The dash showed only slush. Her tutu peeked from a reflective vest. She begged fans to report a license plate the video didn't capture. Comments split, comfort or disbelief, but her analytics surged, and that's the only applause she really chases. Still, the money dried up. Foreclosure loomed. Daddy's second stroke left the GoFundMe stuck at $1,100, so Stefonknee pivoted again, this time launching a paid Discord. Subscribers gained access to live streams of her best 6-year-old life, complete with bedtime stories and whispered baby talk voice notes. Leaked clips showed her munching Fruit Loops while Barney reruns played. Refunds followed fast. The server collapsed within a month. With revenue drained, she tried an old strategy, playing victim for the tabloids. She cold-called 5 British outlets, claiming transphobia, forced her into adult baby exile, and promising fresh tears for a fee. Only the Daily Star bit, publishing 2 forgettable paragraphs that echoed a 2015 Independent piece. Within a day, YouTube was flooded with takedowns titled "She's Still Doing This" and "The Bathroom Bucket Lady Returns." They made money. She didn't. Allies began disappearing. One trans activist tweeted, "Every time she trends, it sets us back." Parents chimed in, saying they now field bucket bathroom questions at PTA meetings. Another advocate pointed out that real trans parents fighting for custody show up to court, not costume parties. Stefonknee blocked them all and posted a glittered selfie captioned, "Choose joy." Spring 2025 brought more blows. Her memoir, Holding On by a Thread, finally arrived on Amazon after 3 delays. The blurb promised hope in turbulent times, but readers slammed it as delusional and self-congratulatory. One even fact-checked her solitary confinement claim. Court records confirmed 0 jail time. Within 2 days, the rating dropped to 2 stars. She flagged bad reviews as harassment. The score bounced to 4, but sales froze at 200 copies. Life outside the echo chamber moved on. One cousin posted a summer BBQ photo, Maria's eldest daughter cradling a baby boy in the backyard. Everyone was smiling, no tutus in sight. A concerned relative tagged Stefonknee under a newborn photo, prompting her response. "Tell him Grandma loves him so much." Maria silently removed the tag, switched her profile to friends only, and chose peace over conflict. But Stefonknee captured the exchange, posted a TikTok, and tearfully declared she had been erased from her own family line. Her video earned sympathy hearts, but no financial support. Despite her emotional plea, national headlines remained focused on issues like Bill C-63 and social media hate law thresholds. Still, and every time a pundit criticized gender-affirming care, someone resurrected Stefonknee's infamous bucket bathroom clip as Exhibit A in the culture war ledger. The pattern seems baked into the algorithm now. Stefonknee performs, critics amplify, casual viewers recoil, and marginalized trans communities pay the unseen price, all while every click spikes engagement. Her Instagram bio still reads, "Author, Princess. It always does get better." A recent reel shows her spinning through half-melted driveway slush, proclaiming spring as a new beginning. Behind her, Daddy's crooked for sale sign dangles from a stake in the yard, complete with a phone number nobody calls. A neighbor captured the tableau from an upstairs window, captioning the video, "She chases likes while the bank chases the deed." It snagged 15,000 views that weekend. Even a fading sideshow can eclipse ordinary milestones. No one knows whether Stefonknee will secure another adoptive family, reinvent her brand again, or fade into offline obscurity. What's certain is the internet never forgets. When culture war warriors need a cartoon villain, they still invoke the man in pigtails who abandoned 7 children to become his own imaginary daughter. A circus continues as long as people keep buying tickets. And Stefonknee? She learned that lesson long ago. She spins like a broken music box, praying the melody never stops. For her, silence feels like erasure. For the rest of us, every click decides whether the show goes on. In truth, it's clear her family doesn't want her. That's probably why her daughter didn't invite her to the wedding. A summer ceremony in rural Ontario should have been simple. Lilies, lace, polite small talk about the heat. Instead, it became the moment 7 siblings drew a line between their lives and the carnival orbiting their parents. By 2012, the eldest Wolscht daughter was 23, completing her teaching diploma, and desperate to walk down the aisle without tabloid ghosts trailing her train. Months before the date, she mailed an olive branch letter to her father, now publicly Stefonknee, asking for 2 conditions: attend in a plain suit, no costume, and sit quietly at the back before slipping away before the reception. Friends say writing those lines felt like cutting flesh from bone. Stefonknee agreed, but then disappeared from contact entirely. Offline, she seethed. To her, the invitation was an affront to her narrative, her claim that cruel rejection had forced her to invent adoptive parents who accepted her through play therapy. Screenshots from her private Facebook brimmed with resentment. She toyed with the idea of showing up in pink satin and daring the ushers to remove her, live-streaming a protest on the church lawn, or flooding guests with glitter-streaked manifestos. In the end, she chose a darker script. On the morning of the wedding, at exactly 6:18 a.m., Stefonknee left a voicemail. Her voice was flat and rehearsed, promising she would be dead by sunset unless she was allowed to attend as my honest self. Her fiancé advised ignoring it. Shortly afterwards, she posted a cryptic status to her modest follower base. Today, the world loses a little girl nobody loved. Goodbye. Facebook's automated review system flagged the post. Local dispatch was alerted. Paramedics reached her weekly rental 40 minutes later. When they arrived, she wore Disney-themed pajamas, admitting she had swallowed only 2 Advil, for symbolism. Despite meeting no medical criteria for hospitalization, responders transported her anyway. The gesture didn't work clinically, but online it burst into gore drama. Message boards latched onto guesswork. Stomach pumps, heroic revivals, close calls. Meanwhile, inside the chapel, vows went off as planned. Cake was served beneath maple trees and Sinatra played softly. Only later that evening did a cousin mention the ambulance on the guest list WhatsApp. The bride stepped outside and wept, not from shock but from exhaustion. Her father, once the man who taught her brake maintenance, had stolen the spotlight again, this time courtesy of a hospital gurney. That day, Stefonknee spent 24 hours in a psychiatric ward, filming shaky clips branding her threat as an art project. Nurses confiscated her phone after other patients complained. She was discharged Monday morning with a referral to an LGBTQ crisis support group at the Metropolitan Community Church of Toronto. She arrived wearing a cupcake print sundress and rambled her story. A volunteer-led group soon materialized, Team Steph, but lasted only 3 months before volunteers quit, describing it as one-person drama club held hostage by guilt. The breaking point came the following Father's Day. One daughter texted her, "Happy Father's Day. I can message you but not call." Stefonknee replied, "Then I will myself." Church elders recoiled, volunteers resigned. Leaked clips show her calling it radical honesty. For her children, that was it. They asked police to log every voicemail thread and requested continued no-contact orders. A lawyer explained that without actual harm, civil law couldn't prohibit recorded messages, so they simply blocked her number. Privately, the bride confided she wanted her father at the wedding, but wanted the man who fixed tractors, not the one who dressed as a preschooler. In a later YouTube release titled "Why I Missed the Best Day of My Life," Stefonknee claimed the invite was revoked by TERF relatives, that she had flatlined in an ambulance and later revived. Hospital logs show stable vitals and no code blue. The tale sold better as martyrdom. She included it in her memoir, shifting timelines to place the wedding after restraining order hearings for dramatic effect. Critics noted eerie parallels to Lifetime movies featuring attention-seeking parents faking strokes. After the ordeal, Maria hardened her boundaries. Working full-time while raising 6 children, she told a counselor the invite was her last attempt at sharing reality with his fantasy. Old photos of Paul vanished from family albums. Each sibling copes differently. 2 older sons refuse mention of their father, fearing coworkers might Google him. A middle daughter turned pain into humor, joking that her dad was the only guest to RSVP from a psych ward. The youngest, 9 at the time of the split, once asked, "Why does Dad want to be my age?" Maria answered carefully, "He feels safest acting 6. He still loves you, but adults make confusing choices." Over time, wedding day became a coded word among family. Now, whenever Stefonknee appears in a TikTok wearing a novelty veil, Her eldest son quietly replies, "White dress 2012. That shorthand means, do not engage." The bride, now a second-grade teacher, finally deleted the voicemail she received that wedding morning, calling it the sound of a door closing. But Stefonknee continues replaying the injuries online. Every June, she posts cryptic messages about missing a father-daughter dance, pairing crying emojis with a PayPal link. Trolls paste hospital records. She counters with troves of trans suicide statistics, then purges dissent from her comment sections to curate a heart wall of affirmation. Engagement dropped, so she staged a mock wedding ceremony on livestream. Strawberry the Bearer officiated. Daddy walked her between garage shelves. She wore a thrifted bubblegum dress, recited vows to a 9-inch plush rabbit, and ignored viewers who spammed questions about the real bride. The video pulled a few thousand plays. Equal parts horror and pity. Psychologists observing from afar say the original wedding rejection cemented Stefonknee's grievance narrative. Every family milestone since has fed it. Court orders expire, adult children establish boundaries. But scorched earth tactics still bring clicks. One clinician told CBC, when emotional spectacle earns global views, the script becomes permanent. The bride keeps her social media locked tight. Only classroom crafts and no family. Her child's first birthday was dinosaur-themed. Only maternal grandparents attended. She considered sending Stefonknee a family photo, but ultimately didn't, because some wounds heal better sealed. Each June, that ripple resurfaces. In the family home, Maria sips coffee and rereads vows, a quiet moment of reflection and closure. In a rented room miles away, Stefonknee Wolscht starts a live stream titled Remembering What I Lost. With tears rolling, she thanks online donors for keeping a little girl's dreams alive. It's a scene familiar to those who have followed the long unraveling of a family once bound by duty, now scattered by drama. That moment was not the first wedding to collapse under Stefonknee's shadow. The very first was hers, with Maria. When Paul Wolscht announced his decision to abandon an adult life and embody a permanent 6-year-old girl named Stefonknee, he didn't just change pronouns or swap wardrobes. He detonated the foundation that had supported a working family of 9. 13 years later, the blast radius continues to widen. What was once a quiet, rural family home became the epicenter of a national spectacle. Maria once dreamed of a life rooted in routine, raising kids, balancing repair jobs and school lunches, scribbling budgets by candlelight, and maybe attending night school when the children were old enough. When Paul first revealed a lavender dress, Maria responded with cautious humor. Friends remember her gifting him hosiery and joking about their closet looking like a thrift store clearance rack. At that time, Stefonknee time meant 15 minutes behind a locked door. But the day Paul announced he was going to live full-time as a 6-year-old girl, 3 pillars collapsed. Finances, social standing, and Maria's grip on reality. The money vanished first. Word spread quickly in their small Ontario town that the lead mechanic was now meeting clients in pigtails. Business dried up. Maria, a teacher, shouldered groceries with her shrinking salary while juggling night tutoring jobs. They sold an antique piano and still received disconnection notices. When she voiced concern, Paul allegedly shrugged it off. Princesses don't worry about utility bills.
Stefonknee Wolscht is giving up. Tired of fighting for the rights for transgender Canadians and tired of fighting for the love and support of her family. She's lost her job.
I basically just lost all my customers.
Her home.
I'm sleeping in a bed in a homeless shelter.
Then came the social fallout. In a town where gossip simmers all winter, Maria's support network evaporated. Parents whispered at school gates, a choir director subtly suggested she rest her voice, and progressive friends ghosted her entirely, unwilling to navigate potlucks with a grown man in a tutu bringing deviled eggs. Then the psychological toll hit. Maria suffered what therapists call betrayal trauma, the disorientation that occurs when fundamental expectations are violated. She woke at night, rereading old birthday cards from Paul, wondering how she had missed this future. Migraines took root and memories faltered. She tried to buffer her children from the chaos, but the price was her health and eventually her marriage. The impact on the kids was enormous. The older teens understood transition conceptually, but couldn't reconcile it with a father speaking in a baby voice to teddy bears. Middle children were mocked at school for having a dad in diapers. The youngest begged Maria to explain why Daddy missed Father-Daughter Day unless he could come dressed as her twin. Each child suffered differently. The collapse in stability was swift. Paul, once the primary caregiver, stopped making lunches or attending science fairs. Grades slipped. One daughter forged signatures to avoid shame. Paul's request for affection, hugs, nail painting continued long after the kids began to recoil. When one son refused to sew lace on a tutu, Paul allegedly threatened to cancel his driving lessons. The boy walked the 15 kilometers to work instead. The infamous bucket bathroom story marked a new low. Reporters hovered outside the high school fence. Classmates chanted pink potty as the youngest son tried to play basketball. Counselors recorded the widespread symptoms: stomach aches, missed classes, absentee patterns across all 7 children. Court trauma followed. The children sat through restraining order hearings. Their grief laid bare as evidence. The eldest son, who once dreamt of law school, later said that experience shattered the dream. In adulthood, each child coped in their own way. The bride throws herself into teaching and keeps a hyphenated surname. Twin sons avoid media and cycle through social handles. One daughter shares the TikTok advice for children of narcissists. The youngest now volunteers at a youth hotline. If a caller mentions Stefonknee, she offers resources she once wished she had. Paul's use of sexual threats traces back to a 2010 diary entry recalling a hayloft incident at age 12. Since then, public crisis became a pattern. When Maria filed for separation, Paul live-streamed pill bottles. When a daughter asked for no costumes at her wedding, he left voicemails threatening to die. Each threat drew followers, comments, and attention, exactly what psychologists now believe he was chasing. Clinicians detect textbook signs of borderline and narcissistic traits, intense fear of abandonment, and constant demand for emotional supply. One trauma specialist told CBC that families like Maria's never recover baseline peace. Each week restarts the crisis. As finances cratered, Paul's time was no longer spent under car hoods, but filming cosplay content. Meanwhile, medical bills mounted. Snowplow gigs kept the fridge full, but didn't cover braces, tuition, or insurance for 7 children. Creditors called. Paul blamed Maria. Eventually, the family lost their farm at a loss. The mortgage defaulted. Paul argued he had no garnishable income due to living with adoptive parents. Judges disagreed. Child support debt now exceeds $85,000. Community trust took a blow too. Maria had once marched in pride parades and taught inclusive curriculum, but Stefonknee's theatrics muddied the public understanding of trans identity. The age play perception caused backlash even amongst other trans people. That year, counselors documented a rise in slurs on school lockers. Maria later testified that her spouse's antics endangered real transgender teens seeking acceptance. Within the household, coping became its own art form. The eldest locks social profiles, warning friends never to tag him in viral content. A daughter pens essays on resilience. The youngest channels grief into compassion. Family therapists recommended a low-contact approach. No personal outreach to Stefonknee, but a monitored emergency line for real crises. Did one person destroy a family? Maybe not destroy, but dismantle. Still, Maria rebuilt. Her children now swap recipes and babysit each other's toddlers, but they mourn the absence of a father at graduations, birthdays, and job interviews. The Paul who fixed dirt bikes now feels like a ghost of a life before detonation. Could this story have had another ending? Possibly. A gender transition accompanied by therapy, respect, and honest co-parenting could have succeeded. The tragedy wasn't in coming out. It was in rejecting adulthood, forcing children to play caretaker, and using threats as manipulation. Mental health files remain sealed, but interviews suggest possible childhood abuse contributing to Paul's self-image and enduring shame. When masculinity cracked, he replaced it with spectacle. Support circles could have helped, had he not turned each one into a stage for his fetish. Maria never aimed to become a cautionary tale, but her story shows how identity crises, when left unchecked, can fracture an entire ecosystem, financially, socially, psychologically, spiritually, all while the one demanding space to be little overlooked the actual children whose childhoods he upended. For them, transition didn't reveal authenticity. It erased security. Maria's resilience became the quiet foundation for the family's survival. Her ability to juggle emotional trauma, financial instability, and the immense responsibility of raising 7 children alone earned her admiration among peers and professionals alike. She took counseling courses in the evenings, not just to help herself heal, but to better understand what her children needed during their most vulnerable moments. The local school board, once hesitant about her public image, eventually welcomed her back after seeing her dedication and integrity. She advocated for children of estranged or controversial parents, often speaking privately to other mothers who feared public backlash or social ostracization. Despite the shadows cast by her former partner, Maria carved out moments of joy. She hosted potluck dinners for other single parents, organized volunteer cleanup days at her children's schools, and even started a modest garden in the backyard of their rental duplex. Neighbors slowly stopped whispering and began waving again. Her strength reshaped the narrative, turning what could have been a cautionary tale into a story of endurance, adaptation, and soft rebellion against chaos. Meanwhile, Stefonknee remained online, a performance loop fueled by view counts and polarizing commentary. Critics called it attention-seeking. Others argued it was untreated trauma on display. Regardless, every upload, live stream, and viral backlash widened the chasm between her and the family she left behind. What remained was not only estrangement, but a legacy of disrupted milestones and quiet grief. Therapists note that such cases are no longer rare in the social media era, where identity, mental health, and spectacle often collide. Stefonknee's story, while extreme, underscores a broader cultural challenge: how families navigate one member's radical transformation while protecting their own emotional boundaries. The Wolscht children, those scarred, learned how to choose boundaries without guilt, how to speak love through silence, and how to rebuild identity not from performance, but from presence.